Hi, I'm Amber, Head of Guidance at Huckleberry. Let's talk about the 4-month sleep regression. What happens with babies between 3 and 4 months is their sleep architecture matures. There's a permanent change in sleep cycles. This often contributes to frequent night waking and shorter naps, and that's what many parents refer to as the 4-month regression. At 3 months, lots of babies are getting into the groove of good sleep, and then suddenly they're waking up all the time at night, or their naps get real short. Their needs are changing because their brain is maturing. What people call the 4-month regression is when sleep has changed for the worse. The increased night waking, suddenly going, is my baby hungry all the time? Why are they waking so much at night? And naps are suddenly shorter. The biological change, the brain maturing, happens to every person, but not every kid sees the more frequent night waking or the shorter naps because of it. Because this is a permanent change in all babies, in their brains, biologically, you would think that there would be a definite timeline, but sleep difficulties are caused by a lot of factors. It's very common to see online 2 to 6 weeks thrown out, but really sleep will improve when the underlying factors are addressed, and that could be schedule changes, behavioral changes, tweaks to feeding. So it's hard to give a time frame. Depending on how those factors are addressed will impact how long until you see better sleep. There are certainly things you can do to improve sleep, but there still may be a bit of extra waking and some short naps in this age group. It is age appropriate. There are 2 big levers when you're talking about improving sleep at this age. The schedule and the timing of sleep is one, but how the child falls asleep is just as, if not more important. For a situation like this, when you want to do something today to improve them and have the basics covered, timing naps according to sleepy cues and age-appropriate wake windows, a consistent routine in place, and the bedroom is dark, cool, and quiet. The most impactful thing you can do is teaching your baby how to fall asleep with less help. Once a baby masters that, we typically see naps lengthen, though sometimes they do need to be a bit older for that to consistently click. We might see 1 nap of the day lengthens first, and then the second nap. And by the time they're 6 months old, we often see 2 longer naps and then a shorter third nap before bed. Something that surprises a lot of parents at this age is when your baby has been sleeping for 1.5 hours, 2 hours during the day, and then suddenly those naps shrink to 30, 45 minutes. This is super common. It's age appropriate. Many babies will hold on to a couple of short naps for a while still. So there are some things you can do to try to lengthen naps at this age, and they may or may not help. One thing is adjusting the timing. When you put your baby down too soon or too late, both of those can contribute to short naps. You also might want to take a look at hunger. It's hard to sleep when you're hungry, no matter what your age is. Sometimes tweaking the timing of feedings can help. The big one at this age is helping your baby learn to fall asleep with less help from you, but it's still common and appropriate to see 30, 45-minute naps at this age. And until they start lengthening, it can be difficult to transition to 3 naps. So if you're still on 4 naps that are 30 to 45 minutes long, that's completely common. So when my firstborn was 4 months, he started waking so often at night, I thought surely he has an ear infection, because it was hourly. And so I brought him to the doctor, and the doctor cleared him and said, okay, it's time to shut the door. And then 12 hours later, come back and get him. And I was horrified. This is a baby who was eating at night, who would cry for long periods. There was no educational component. And I think if I had understood that their brain has matured and no, he's not super hungry at night, he just falls asleep nursing, and that's how he knows how to fall asleep. Now he's waking up briefly throughout the night, just like adults do. And maybe we roll over and adjust our pillow or grab the blanket. For babies who fall asleep with parent help, they come to rely on it. If I had just understood that, I think it would have been easier for me to make changes, because I was faced with, okay, I can try leaving my baby to cry. And then, I lasted all of 3 minutes because it felt heartbreaking. And it felt like that was the choice, or live with the hourly night waking, which wasn't sustainable either. So I think knowing the underlying cause is really helpful. Then you can understand what might need to be changed if you've been helping your baby to sleep, like when they're under 3 months old, like most parents do. But it doesn't have to be shut the door and leave them to cry over a 12-hour period. It can be a more gradual, gentle process. The alternative doesn't mean that your mental health is destroyed either, because you're just not going to make any changes. So I think that education is really important. There's often so much guilt. It can feel like your choice is selfish because you want better sleep. But for a child to get disrupted sleep constantly isn't good for them either. And then there's so much guilt about choices you make to get to the better sleep. The more disruptive it is to your life, the more I would encourage a parent to do something about it. But if your baby is waking a few times at night and it's something that doesn't feel too disruptive, maybe they adjust better to their sleep schedule, and then it kind of evens out. Some parents are okay with that. I don't want parents to feel like they need to chase some ideal of perfection. It's what works for them. Something a lot of parents note at this age is they are able to get longer naps only when they contact nap, which is understandable. It's cozier to fall asleep and stay asleep. And as long as the parent is alert and remains alert, there's generally nothing wrong with that. But parents also tend to get worn out if there are only contact naps happening. So some families find it helpful to just try for the first nap of the day in the crib or bassinet, and then build from there. It never hurts to try at an early age, giving your child the opportunity to practice learning how to fall asleep on their own. But we generally recommend putting a time cap on it, like a newborn who is 1 or 2 months old. You make sure all their needs are met. They are fed, a dry diaper in their sleep space, they're put down awake, and then they get upset or they're just not able to sleep after 10, 15 minutes. It is okay and encouraged to help them fall asleep, because some babies just aren't able to at that age. It's also not a consistent process. A young baby may be able to fall asleep on their own one night, but then not the next night. Like any skill, practice leads to progress. Preparing doesn't hurt as long as your expectations are realistic. And then as they get older, you can keep building on that skill. What works for one child in a family might also not work for the next. Every family is unique, and the babies within those families may have different needs and temperaments and personalities. We can't treat them all the same or expect them to sleep all the same. One actionable thing that parents can do when trying to make their schedule more predictable is to start out with a regular wake time. When the wake time varies quite a bit, that can make it hard for the rest of the day to be predictable. So that's when you see bedtime and nap shifting a lot. Try to find a 30-minute window that you target for wake time consistently throughout the week. For instance, some babies may wake up at 6 a.m. one day and 8 a.m. the next. What we would recommend in that case is tracking sleep and taking a look at when does my child typically wake up, and using that as the starting point for your regular wake time. If your baby is more often than not waking up around the 6 a.m. mark, then maybe 6 to 6:30 is where you target that wake up time. That starts to give you more predictability with the rest of your day. If you have a baby and sleep has suddenly gotten much worse, it's super common, and this is not something that is going to last forever. And there are things you can do to start improving sleep now. And the two biggest things are the timing of sleep and how your baby falls asleep. And if either of those things are off, you can take steps in whatever way works best for your family to change them. We'll link to the full 4-month sleep regression guide below. It goes deeper on everything we covered. And if you haven't already, the Huckleberry app can help you track what's happening in real time so you're not just guessing.